Fully tried to RPG me.
Trying to snipe me. 360.
Ooh, wait it! If you play Battlefield 6 and need a settings video for Season 2 coming out, I got the settings for you. I will be going over everything you need to know in order to succeed and get the best clips, 360s, anything you could ask for. I'll be going over all the basics and even the Flickback button that I dominate my lobbies with. First, go on over the settings category and find the controller tab. Once we get into the controller tab, we're going to be looking for the button you press in order to get into the actual controller tab. For me, being on Xbox, that will be Y. Once we're in there, we're just going to head over to the top and get right into the sensitivities. I like to run my sensitivity a little high, but it's really preference and depends on what you're used to. I've always played with the higher sensitivities, so that's where I'm most comfortable. Some of you are going to want to run low as maybe 60. I wouldn't recommend maybe going higher than 80, but some people like to max it out, and you could probably go to 100 on this sensitivity settings list, even on the dynamic curve, and be just fine. I recommend a FOV of anywhere between 108 and 120. Anything lower than that, it's going to be a little too low, I'd say. Go ahead and play with the uniform infantry aiming button and make sure you turn it off when you're done in order to get the settings correct. For this build, we're going to be running a dynamic curve on our infantry zoom and aim curves and keeping it standard on our acceleration preset. Our uniform infantry aiming can go anywhere, I want to say between, I would go either 30 or 0. Either you like the left and right acceleration or you don't. Personally, I don't use it and find it useful. I run my stick on toggle, and I just go ahead and make sure that your slide button is bound to the same button that you crouch with in order to make sure that they're bound together properly. Once you're done in here, you're going to go ahead and make sure that your crouch slide is set to crouch toggle and you turn off your double tap crouch for sprint slide. Scroll on down to the zoom transition sensitivity smoothing and make sure you turn it off. Again, you may have to turn it on and off in order to get it properly and turn it off when you're done. And go ahead and set most of your zoom aim sensitivities to 85. Then from the 4 to the 5 times, set it to 90. It gets a little controversial from here because I like to set my sniper scopes a little bit higher. I would recommend just keeping yours at 100. Now set your parachute to tethered only. That way it only really works auto-deploying wise in the BR mode. And then scroll all the way to the bottom and go to your flick look speed. This will be used on your flick look back setting that we're about to get into and will make you twice as fast when doing so. Now in order to map your buttons, such as the flick look back, go into the infantry passenger control mapping settings category and scroll all the way down until you find your ping button. It's going to be a little bit more than a ping button, but just set that down to your down on the D-pad. And you can just scroll on down and look for your flick look back. This is going to be that really crazy button that I figured out you could bind on controller, whether you even have a game server with extra buttons, a scuff, or you just have the standard Xbox controller. It's viable regardless and can lead to some really insane clips. Now again, just make sure your slide is bound to the same as your crouch button. Should already be. From here, we're going to scroll down to the weapons and equipment category and find the toggle laser when zoomed and when not zoomed buttons. You're going to make sure that you unbind it if you are not zoomed. You're going to make sure that you bind it if you are zooming, so that you're still able to do a little bit with your toggle laser and your flashlight button. This will affect how the game works. It's going to take some getting used to on kind of all these mapping settings. And then I scrolled on down to the steady scopes and the toggle scopes. We're kind of doing the same sort of thing, just kind of correlating the buttons and making it so the flick look back and button can work properly. And so when you're aiming down sights with a sniper, your sniper is automatically holding down breath, since in Battlefield you have a very long hold the breath time compared to games such as Call of Duty. Definitely the weirdest thing to get used to on these new binds is going to be that when you use your class ability, you have to press down on the D-pad and your right bumper at the same time. I don't even notice it anymore personally, but it can be weird, and you will be pinging when you do so from now on, which extra pings never really hurt anybody, right? Now, hopefully I don't have you skipping around too much, but I just went to the extra mapping buttons on the controller UI mapping at the bottom of the controller settings category. And make sure that you are unbinding the interactive scoreboard, so when you get into games at the start, sometimes your scoreboard will pop up if you press your aim down sight button. I don't know if you've noticed this or have experienced it yourself, but it can be very annoying and can lead to some very disappointing deaths. Now let's get into the dead zones and the actual controller tuning. Personally, I don't use vibration on any video games, so I just go ahead and turn that off. It's already turned off my controller as well, but just to double down. Now I set my dead zones all at 0.5, whether it's center or axial, just to get that most raw feel I can. But really this is going to depend on your controller. If you have a game, so you're going to be able to go pretty low on this, or even to 0 if you like it that way. We shouldn't have to do anything with the triggers, dead zones, or input thresholds. My controller has hair trigger settings, so I don't really have to do more than that. Now let's get into the graphics, audio, and kind of the HUD settings to get you some cleaner UI and make it so you can get some better colors for your videos. See everything clearly. Some of these are going to be a little bit of duplicate settings, but I'm just going to kind of let you read and go through on these. These ones don't necessarily matter as much, but can lead to much clearer gameplay, especially in the BR when you're trying to figure out all these missions and such. The audio mix configuration setting can vary for some people, but I've found a lot of people reliably use the night mode that came out in order to hear footsteps better in general. Another thing that you could do that's more preference is going to be the subtitles for the announcer. It will display on the bottom middle of your screen when you're playing Battle Royale and missions or tanks approach you. This can be very helpful in those situations, but is otherwise not really noticed or useful. A lot of people don't know that there is a radio in a lot of the vehicles in this game, which can be a lot of fun. I need to get some clips and turn it on more often myself. I keep forgetting about it, but there's some Snoop Dogg in there, I believe, for example. Now let's make sure our mini-map is consistent all around, so you're not having it zoom in and out when you enter areas, or be bigger or smaller whether you're on foot or in a ground or air vehicle. Now let's get into the actual HUD UI settings and kind of clean up the colors. I basically just made everything brighter than it already was. A lot of the colors are standard, dull, and not very hard to tell what they are, so I just kind of brightened them up. A few colors are more preference. I like purples and blues a little more than reds and greens, for example. You can also change your HUD padding if you want to bring it in a little bit. I personally like where it's at, but that's all, again, personal preference. Now these are going to be some of the more opacity things to make everything more clear, especially when you're aiming down sights. You get that nice cone, that nice tunnel vision, so you can really focus and get that kill. Those nice clips. Make sure not to turn down any of your enemy icons, though. You don't want your enemies faded out on you. You want to make sure those are broad as day always. Now this part might get a little boring, but I'm going to throw in some lobby music and let you fill all this out while we get to our GameSir settings on the end, if you happen to have a GameSir controller to tune into that. back just to make sure you miss the custom reticle color option, as well as making your reticle a little bit thicker. It's really preference again. You could just keep a default. Now let's get into the game search settings. Unfortunately for this, I had to just take pictures from my phone due to me just being solely on the Xbox platform. But I can go ahead and go through these and just kind of match them up yourself if you even have the game search. Unfortunately, I can't do any video content or really describe this very well, but if you have any more questions, go ahead and feel free to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, guys. Hope you enjoy Season 2 and that it fulfills all of our wishes. I know some of these settings may be a little too much for some people, so feel free to just take advantage of as much of this video as you feel comfortable with and play with it. Get used to it, really give it a chance. Let me know.